Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a beloved classic from the 80s that tells the story of a high school student named Ferris who decides to skip school and have an adventure in Chicago with his girlfriend and his best friend. While the film is widely praised for its humor and heart, there are some goofs and mistakes that can be found. Join Facts Verse as we take a closer look at some notable bloopers and goofs from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Is the shirt buttoned or not? One of the most notable goofs in the film occurs when Ferris's sister Jeannie is being chased by the school principal, Mr. Rooney. In one shot, Mr. Rooney's jacket is buttoned up, but in the next it's unbuttoned. This continuity error is a small mistake, but it shows that even a well-crafted film can have flaws. There's also a continuity error in the scene where Rooney is trying to catch Ferris. As Rooney is running through a neighborhood, he stops to yell at a dog barking behind a fence. In one shot, the fence is seen to have a gate, but in the next shot, the gate has completely disappeared. Another mistake involves the scene where Ferris is pretending to be sick in bed while his parents check on him. In one shot, a boom microphone can be seen. Another notable goof in Ferris Bueller's Day Off occurs during the scene where Ferris and his friends visit the Art Institute of Chicago. In this scene, Ferris and Sloane are seen standing in front of the painting A Sunday Afternoon in the Island of La Grande Jatte by George Seurat. However, in the next shot, they're shown standing in front of a completely different painting altogether. This mistake is quite glaring and has been pointed out by many viewers over the years. Another error that some fans have noticed is a mistake with the placement of the camera. In one shot, the camera can be seen reflected in a window, ruining the illusion of the scene. This may not be a major issue for most viewers, but it does take away from the movie's overall polish. There are numerous other camera mistakes in the film as well. At one point, a camera operator can be seen in a reflection during a shot in the hallways of Ferris's school. One of the most memorable aspects of the movie remains the titular character's depressed friend, Cameron. There's a scene where Cameron kicks the front of his father's car, and it was supposed to be shot with a stunt double, but Alan Ruck insisted on doing the stunt himself, and he injured his knee in the process. This take was included in the film, so you can really feel the actor's stress and pain when you're revisiting the classic movie today. How many miles did the Ferrari have? As far as wardrobe is concerned, there are several instances where characters' clothing and accessories appear to change without explanation. For example, in one scene, Sloane is seen wearing a white hat, but in the next shot, she's not wearing it. Similarly, Ferris is shown wearing different sunglasses throughout the movie, despite never having been seen with them before. Another wardrobe-related mistake that some viewers have pointed out is a continuity error involving the characters' hairstyles. In one scene, Ferris's hair is neatly combed, but in the very next shot, it's messy and disheveled. These mistakes are somewhat minor, but they do detract a bit from the overall consistency of the film. There's a moment when Ferris and his friends are driving in Cameron's father's Ferrari. In one shot, it's shown driving on Lakeshore Drive, but in the very next shot, it's shown driving on a completely different street. This is another mistake that's been pointed out by viewers over the years. There's also an inconsistency in the timeline that some people have highlighted. In one part of the film, Cameron mentions that his father's Ferrari has less than 100 miles on it, but later in the movie, he says that it has over 300 miles on it. It might seem like a small detail, but it can be jarring for some viewers who are paying close attention to this story. Towards the end of the film, Ferris engages in a climactic race to get home before being caught by his family. While he's being chased by his sister through a sea of backyards, another mistake occurs. As he runs through the backyards, he jumps over a fence and lands in a yard with a pool. When he starts to climb out of the pool, his shoes can be seen on the side of the pool. But in the next shot, as he climbs over the fence again, he's wearing his shoes once again. Also, the famous Save Ferris water tower seen in the film was actually a special effect added in post-production. The real water tower didn't have the Save Ferris message on it, and the filmmakers added it with visual effects. The movie didn't even manage to get Chicago right. Throughout the film, there are also several instances where the geography of Chicago seems to be distorted or inaccurate. For example, the characters are shown driving from one part of the city to another in a matter of minutes, even though those locations are actually quite far apart. Additionally, some of the landmarks and buildings in the film are not actually located in the places they're depicted as being. Despite this fact, filming on location in Chicago was a big part of Ferris Bueller's Day Off's production. Much of the film was shot on location throughout the city, including at the Art Institute of Chicago, Wrigley Field, and the Willis Tower, then known as the Sears Tower. The famous Twist and Shout parade scene was also filmed in downtown Chicago, with thousands of extras lining the streets to watch Ferris lip-sync to the Beatles' classic tune. Although the parade scene, which also features Ferris singing the song Dankeschön, remains incredibly memorable, sound issues plagued it during filming. The crowd noise was so overwhelming that Broderick had to re-record his singing lines at a recording studio after the fact. This resulted in there being some lip-syncing issues in the film's final product. Another mistake is that the parade float that Ferris is riding on is moving at a slow pace, but in the very next shot it's suddenly moving much faster. This mistake is less obvious than some of the others, but it's nevertheless noticeable upon closer inspection. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was released in 1986, and it's come to be considered one of the most iconic films directed by John Hughes. This is saying something when you consider the man is also responsible for classics like Home Alone and The Breakfast Club. The adventures of Ferris Bueller, a high school senior who fakes illness to have a day of fun in Chicago with his friends Sloane and Cameron, continue to resonate with audiences of all ages. Despite its enduring popularity, the film has some intriguing behind-the-scenes secrets that are not as widely known. Matthew Broderick almost didn't get the role. Ferris was originally supposed to be played by John Cusack, who had previously starred in Hughes' films 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club. But after several auditions, Matthew Broderick was chosen instead. Similarly, the role of Cameron was offered to Emilio Estevez before ultimately going to Alan Ruck. Another fun fact is that Charlie Sheen's cameo as a drug addict in the police station was originally supposed to be a much smaller role, but Sheen's performance was so memorable they expanded the role. It's hard to say what made Matthew Broderick's audition stand out, but it's been reported that Broderick brought a unique mix of charm, wit, and charisma to the role. Additionally, Broderick had already garnered critical acclaim for his work in other films such as War Games, which likely helped him stand out. John Hughes came up with the idea for Ferris Bueller's Day Off after realizing that he needed a break from the intense pressure of Hollywood. He wanted to make a film that explores the joys of being young and carefree, and that captured the spirit of Chicago in the 1980s. The movie was a hit with audiences and critics alike, and remains a popular classic to this day. It still holds up. In terms of legacy, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a testament to John Hughes' unique vision as a writer and filmmaker. His ability to capture the zeitgeist of the 1980s and create characters that audiences could relate to and empathize with has made him an enduring legend in Hollywood. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that Matthew Broderick almost didn't get his iconic titular role in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Let us know in the comments section below.